Welcome to Heavily Meditated, a podcast celebrating human potential. Meditations, interviews, tools, trainings, and more designed to take you higher. Let's raise the collective consciousness together. Hello, I'm Scott Roberts, and I would love to welcome you to the Heavily Meditated podcast. You're listening to part 4 of our mental and emotional detox series, and in this episode we are going to be focusing on how you can begin to release the emotion of anger. Harboring anger consumes a lot of energy, and we want to support you in liberating and redirecting that powerful energy to create the life you really want to live. We want you to know just how powerful you are and that you have the ability to become the master of your thoughts and emotions. So let's define anger and the science of anger. In our daily life, most of us in the Western world don't face crippling injustice. Instead, experiences like getting cut off in traffic or someone treating us unfavorably can cause us to get angry. But when our anger goes unchecked and we act unconsciously out of anger, the results can be devastating to us and others. The emotion of anger can come on fast and be all-consuming. We can lose dominion over our lives and become the servants of our biology. Anger can be a selfish emotion because all of our energy goes towards solely focusing on ourselves. We can feel separate from everything and everyone. If we can view ourselves as just one working within the whole, and flow with the multitude of interesting experiences that life offers, we can diffuse anger. As Albert Einstein said, a human being is part of the whole, called by us the universe. A part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. So why do we get angry? What causes the emotion of anger to be activated within us? To understand anger, let's first take a look at the science and biology of anger. When something or someone outside of you triggers your anger, your brain's amygdala responds by releasing neurotransmitters called catecholamines, which give you an energy rush so you can physically defend yourself if you need to. And the stress hormones of epinephrine and norepinephrine are also released. They increase your blood pressure and heart rate, causing you to become flushed. In short, anger is your brain and body working together to protect you from an outside threat. So really great if you happen to be under attack by a predator. However, you can flood your body with the hormones of anger by simply thinking angry thoughts. We talked about this before in one of our earlier episodes about how you can create the chemical reactions in your body of an emotion just by thought alone rather than a physical external experience. When you consistently think the thoughts and feel the emotions of anger, this is when anger can become toxic to your body and cause health problems, especially when it comes to your heart. So the first step towards releasing anger is to realize that your anger is a choice. Although your anger can feel like a knee-jerk reaction to an outer or inner stimulus, once you realize you have the power to choose whether you decide to entertain your angry thoughts and emotions, you liberate yourself. The main goal is to shorten the refractory period and length of time you experience anger so you can reclaim your mental and physical health. By the way, at the end of this episode, we're also going to give you the link to download this episode's bonus weekly dose meditation to help you to begin to release the thoughts and emotions of anger from your brain and body. This is a powerful meditation. I know it will help you a lot. So let's talk about how to release anger. This may be a hard pill to swallow at first, especially in the face of a perceived injustice like discrimination or betrayal. But anger gives you the opportunity to accept life as it is without attaching judgment to the situation and people involved. Accepting life as it is doesn't mean we have to excuse or ignore the experience that caused us to become angry. It is about gifting yourself the freedom to be the curious observer of human behavior rather than the victim. The goal is to no longer allow anger to negatively impact your health, experience of life, and peace of mind. When we humans become fearful, we can behave in very primal ways. The best way to become the conscious observer in an experience that brings up the thoughts and emotions of anger is to view the people involved as animals, simply reacting to each other's instinctual, hardwired behavior. We all know what happens when lions are gathering around a fresh kill. So when we become fearful, we have disconnected from our true infinite nature and are operating off a system of subconscious beliefs rooted in fear and lack. We become temporarily insane. When we are insane, we are in, meaning not, sane, meaning well and healthy. So our natural state is to experience harmony and balance. But when we live in fear and the hormones of stress, we get knocked out of physiological and psychological balance. When you become the conscious, curious observer of fearful behavior of others, you can begin to release your anger and have compassion for the person or people who are acting out in front of you, because you know that they are channeling a tremendous amount of fear in that moment and are a slave to their unconscious mind. If they were using their conscious mind, they would act out of love and wouldn't want to harm others. Oftentimes, when humans experience intolerable suffering, they want their suffering to be acknowledged, and they pass that pain along to others. This is a human condition that can only be transcended by raising our collective consciousness. When we cultivate pure consciousness, we know we have nothing to fear, defend, or protect. We know we are complete and whole, and that no one can diminish our power. In essence, we are pure love. If we look at anger as a biological response to an injustice, anger is a beautiful emotion, because it is our internal alarm that recognizes when human behavior is out of integrity and that there is a better way to live. The emotion we call anger can be harnessed and used as a catalyst for ending unnecessary suffering and creating positive change in our world. Anger is a choice. Once you know the root cause of anger and how to release it, you have the freedom to decide whether you want to live an angry life. When we make a conscious choice to release anger from our lives, we are choosing unconditional love. The more of us who consciously choose unconditional love, the less angry our world will be. Here are some of our tried and true practices and techniques for releasing anger. First is meditation. Meditation allows us to disconnect from the outside world and the source of a lot of our anger. If you have been harboring anger for a long time, what event or series of events in your past caused you to experience anger? When anger is triggered, we usually blame the circumstances in our outside world for causing the way we feel inside. We look at what happens outside of us that causes experience inside of us. Are you still physically in the presence of your source of initial anger, or are you always revisiting it in your head? If you are, remove yourself from that environment. Get to a safe, quiet place and begin to observe the experience from a calm state without judgment or attachment. If the anger is internal because you're reliving a past experience or imagining a future experience, then begin your meditation practice and diffuse the anger by observing the thoughts and emotion and releasing your attachment to them through your breath. Next is to practice conscious awareness with your anger. See if you can practice being the conscious observer of the thoughts and emotions of anger. Take a bird's eye view of your anger and objectify it. See it as being separate from the part of yourself that is the observer. If you have been angry for a long time, your body is used to running the program of anger and craves to express itself in a certain way. See if you can tame and train your body to calm down. Using your conscious awareness, let it know that you are in control and you are safe. Anger is just one of the many emotions of fear. This practice may be extremely challenging at first, especially if you've been practicing the emotion of anger for many years. But as you practice meditation to release it, it will get easier and easier over time to free your mind and body from your addiction to anger. And if you haven't listened to part 1 of our mental and emotional detox series, take some time to listen. In that episode, we share how you can become addicted to your negative thoughts and emotions and how you can move past that. So next is to talk your anger out. When we don't feel heard, valued, or acknowledged, many of us suppress how we are feeling and don't verbalize our emotions. when we are unable to share and speak through the emotions we are feeling, what we're really doing is storing a tremendous amount of energy in our bodies, and eventually it needs to come out. This is why anger can be so explosive. When we are angry, we usually yell. When we are able to verbalize how we are feeling, our words ride on a current of energy coming from the inside out. Speaking also creates soothing vibrations in our bodies. If you're unable to express your feelings of anger to someone else, find a private space where you can talk or even yell your anger out. By speaking how you feel, you're releasing that energy and are no longer harboring it in yourself and energetically projecting it onto others. The energy of anger will also lose its power when you speak it out loud. So next is to harness and redirect the energy of anger. As I mentioned before, anger is an explosive energy. Imagine how your life would transform if you were to harness it and redirect it towards achieving your goals and reaching your potential. What injustices in the world most anger you? What things outside of yourself do you want to change? Use the energy of the anger to find fuel to feed your fire of creativity and passion to make positive change in the world. A normal response to and a byproduct of anger can be a feeling of hopelessness or overwhelmed, like there is nothing we can do to change something. But if you direct your energy of anger towards making change rather than feeling stuck or helpless, you can feel a sense of purpose and release yourself from the grips of anger. And that is the beginning to releasing the anger. And a side note, it is very common for people to use their anger to address an injustice, but then stay stuck in the mindset of anger against something rather than moving towards positivity and love. You can avoid falling into that trap by using the other methods we mentioned to redirect the energy to love through meditation, conscious awareness, and verbalizing your anger positively and productively once you initialize the energy to make change. And again, anger is a choice, and you have the power to make the choice to no longer be angry and instead choose love. And as I mentioned before, to support you in overriding the program of anger, we have a powerful weekly dose meditation you can download at heavilymeditatedpodcast.com/detoxme4. So download this bonus meditation and be sure to listen to the daily doses on iTunes and at heavilymeditatedpodcast.com. While you're there, check out the Heavily Meditated program. All right, that's it for today's episode of the Heavily Meditated podcast. Thank you so much for your time and your presence today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. And for next week's episode, we have something really special planned. We're going to continue the mental and emotional detox with one last episode in the series by sharing a heartfelt message about how you can forgive. Forgiveness requires strength and is the ultimate form of inner peace and a true superpower. This incredibly powerful episode is designed to support you in releasing the past so you can begin to create a new future for yourself, free of pain and suffering. If you're ready to create radical change, this upcoming episode is perfect for you. So make sure to tune in. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review for this podcast and share it with the people you love most. Thank you for your presence today, and thank you so much for listening. And I will talk to you on the next episode of the Heavily Meditated podcast.